Let's kick things off with a little ditty from Mozart, the musical genius himself. You might know him for his symphonies and operas, but Mozart had a naughty side too. He penned a playful little tune called Leck, mich im Arsch, which, let's be blunt, translates to lick my arse.
Yes, you read that right. Even back in the 18th century, anilingus, or rimming as the kids call it these days, was on people's minds. And Mozart, the cheeky devil, wasn't afraid to sing about it.
This wasn't some obscure footnote in musical history either. This tune was a hit. People hummed it in the streets, played it at parties, and generally got a good chuckle out of it.
Now, I'm not saying Mozart's little ditty sparked a sexual revolution or anything, but it does show that anilingus has been around for centuries, whispered about in hushed tones and set to music by mischievous composers. It's a part of our shared sexual history, whether we like it or not.
Fast forward a few centuries, and anilingus is still a taboo topic for many. But things are changing. And I'm not just talking about the latest sexual trend. This is about breaking down barriers, challenging norms, and expanding our understanding of pleasure.
For too long, anilingus has been relegated to the shadows, whispered about in hushed tones, if at all. It's been shrouded in shame, associated with dirtiness and deviance, but those days are numbered, my friends.
The internet, for all its faults, has played a huge role in this shift. It's provided a platform for open and honest conversations about sex. Forums, blogs, and websites dedicated to sexual health and exploration have flourished, creating spaces for people to learn, share, and connect.
And you know what they're discovering? That anilingus isn't dirty or deviant, it's just another way to explore pleasure, to connect with a partner, and to push the boundaries of what feels good.
Remember when we used to blush at the mere mention of oral sex? Now it's about as shocking as ordering a latte at Starbucks. Anilingus is on a similar trajectory, slowly but surely shedding its taboo status and entering the mainstream.
How, you ask? Well, for starters, we're talking about it more openly. No more giggling behind our hands or whispering in dark corners. Anilingus is finding its way into everyday conversations, magazine articles, and even primetime television.
And let's not forget the power of pop culture. Movies and TV shows like Girls in Broad City have featured anilingus in a frank and often hilarious way, normalizing it for a whole new generation.
Then there's the music industry, always a bellwether of cultural shifts. Nicki Minaj's Anaconda, with its unapologetically explicit lyrics, brought anilingus to the top of the charts. Love it or hate it, the song sparked a conversation, forcing us to confront our preconceived notions about this often misunderstood sexual act.
Remember that scene in Girls where Jessa gives Hannah, well, it was awkward, hilarious, and surprisingly relatable. And it got people talking.
Broad City took it a step further with Ilana's enthusiastic exploration of all things anal, including anilingus. These shows, with their frank depictions of female sexuality, helped to chip away at the stigma surrounding anilingus, showing it as a normal, even pleasurable part of sexual exploration.
And it's not just edgy comedies pushing the envelope. Even more mainstream shows like Orange is the New Black have featured anilingus, albeit in a more subtle way.
The point is, anilingus is no longer confined to the realm of pornography or whispered rumors. It's out in the open, being discussed and depicted in ways that are both realistic and, dare I say, entertaining. Section 5. Boys will be boys, so who like rimming? Here's a newsflash for you. It's not just women who enjoy anilingus. Shocking, I know.
For years, the stereotype has been that anilingus is something men do to women, not the other way around. But recent studies are turning that notion on its head.
It turns out that a surprising number of heterosexual men are open to giving and receiving anilingus, and I'm not just talking about your adventurous, sexually liberated types.
We're talking about regular guys from all walks of life who are discovering the pleasure that anilingus can bring. Now I know what you're thinking. Dan, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, and never the twain shall meet when it comes to rimming. But trust me on this one.
The times they are a-changing. Section 6. Straight out of stigma, anal sex and the CDC. Hold on to your hats, folks, because the CDC, yes, that CDC, has entered the chat. They've been tracking sexual behaviors for years, and their data paints a fascinating picture of our evolving attitudes towards anal sex.
And guess what? Anal sex, including anilingus, is on the rise. And not just among gay and lesbian couples. Heterosexual couples are getting in on the action too, exploring the full spectrum of their sexuality and discovering new avenues of pleasure.
Now, I know some people might clutch their pearls at this, but I say it's about time. We're living in an era of unprecedented sexual freedom, and that includes the freedom to explore all of our erogenous zones, regardless of our sexual orientation. Let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say the donkey in the room. Anilingus isn't just for straight couples or gay couples. Section 7, beyond the binary anilingus as a universal pleasure.
It's a gender-neutral act of pleasure that can be enjoyed by anyone, regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity. That's right, folks.
Anilingus is for everyone. It's time to ditch the outdated labels and embrace the full spectrum of human sexuality.
Whether you're gay, straight, bisexual, transgender, or somewhere in between, anilingus is fair game.
The politics of pleasure challenging heteronormativity. For too long, our understanding of sex has been dictated by heteronormative ideals, with an emphasis on penetration and a narrow definition of what's considered normal. But the anilingus revolution, if you will, is challenging those outdated notions.
By embracing anilingus, we're pushing back against the idea that sex is solely about procreation or that there's only one right way to do it. We're reclaiming our bodies and our pleasure, and in doing so, we're creating a more inclusive and sex-positive world.
This isn't just about sex, though, it's about power, too. By challenging the status quo, by refusing to be shamed or silenced, we're disrupting the power dynamics that have traditionally dictated who gets to enjoy pleasure and how.
Safety first. A word on hygiene and consent. Before you run off to explore your newfound appreciation for anilingus, let's talk about safety. And by safety, I mean both physical and emotional safety.
First and foremost, consent is key. Always, always, always obtain clear and enthusiastic consent before engaging in any sexual activity, including anilingus. No means no, and anything less than a resounding yes is a no.
Now, let's talk about hygiene. The anus, for all its erogenous glory, is also home to a whole lot of bacteria. So before you go down south, it's essential to practice good hygiene. A shower or bath is a good start, followed by a thorough cleaning of the area with soap and water.
The future of fun. Embracing the anilingus revolution. So there you have it, anilingus. It's not just for Mozart anymore. It's time to embrace the anilingus revolution, to shed our inhibitions and explore the full spectrum of our sexuality.
The future of fun is here, and it's time to get our tongues wagging, both literally and figuratively. Let's continue to challenge societal norms, break down taboos, and create a world where pleasure is celebrated, not shamed.
A final lick, redefining pleasure in the 21st century. As we navigate the ever-evolving landscape of sexuality in the 21st century, one thing is clear. The old rules no longer apply. We're writing our own scripts, defining pleasure on our own terms, and embracing the full spectrum of human sexuality.
Anilingus, once relegated to the shadows, is emerging as a symbol of this sexual liberation, a testament to our willingness to challenge conventions and explore the uncharted territories of our desires.
So go forth, my friends, and explore with gusto. But remember, safety and consent are paramount. Happy rimming!